Hello everyone, and thanks for taking the time to review the real estate market analysis for Los Gatos in Santa Clara County, California. This is for the month of February 2008. My name is Robert Whitelaw, and I'm a licensed real estate broker in the state of California. I'm also a member of the National Association of Realtors and a certified E-Pro. Now, as we always do, we're going to jump in first and take a look at the supply and demand numbers, comparing the month of February 2008 to the same month in previous years. So let's start with the inventory, where we can see the variation that's sort of gone along with the market when there's been a lot of homes on the market. We're not at the highest point. 2003 is the highest point in history going back to 1999, but we have seen an increase from last year to this year. And basically, I think what this is indicating is how the market that has slowed a bit has finally caught up with Los Gatos. Right now, we have 119 homes on the market, and that is a 40% increase from the month of February in 2007. Now, if we look at the number of folks who've entered the market in February of 2008, now these are folks that listed their home for sale in those months, in the month of February, going back to 1999. And you can see we've had an increase of 64.1%. That gives us a grand total of 64 homes that got listed in the month of February. That might be an indication of some folks thinking it's the right time to get their homes sold and not having a lot of faith maybe that the market's going to continue to increase. However, if we take a look at the sales numbers, we can see there has been a drop from last year. It's actually down 30.4% for a grand total of 16 homes sold. So I don't think there's anything we can really take solid away from this, except for we've definitely turned a corner in the market with a decrease in sales and an increase in inventory, coupled with an increase in folks entering the market. That definitely shows that we've started to see a little bit of how the market's been performing in other parts of the county start to have an effect here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at supply and demand just over the past months. It sort of gives us an idea of, in the short term, how things are doing, and it also gives us sort of an insight into the seasonal influences that can have an effect on our market. Now, first, just look at the changes that have happened from last month, January of 2008, to February of 2008. Inventory is up 16.7% from last month. The number of homes listed is up 33.3%, but sales has stayed flat, absolutely flat. No increase, no decrease. Now, most of these numbers are what we would expect. We would expect to see inventory increasing from January to February as we did last year. We're not seeing, we're seeing the flat sales, which is what we would expect, but of course it's lower than it was at the same time last year. And we've also seen an increase in the number of homes listed, which is different from last year, but because of the way the market's currently going, I'm not sure that we're seeing that as a big influencer here in how our market's working. Now, the next important number to consider is home prices. Now, again, this is looking at past years, and what we see here are two columns. The dark column is the average price. The median price is represented by the lighter colored bar. Now, average home prices have actually increased in Los Gatos from 2007 to 2008 by 3.2%. So, like the county, we are continuing to see average home prices on the increase. What's interesting is you've seen that the median has increased, which means the number of homes that are being sold. The median is basically the exact middle point for the number of homes that sold. So if 101 homes sold, at the median price, 50 homes sold above it and 50 homes sold below it. So what that's basically telling us is that more homes are selling at or below the average price than there were last year. Now, last year, you'll see that there was more of a concentration below the average price. And you can see, so 50 homes below, if just to imagine that as a nice round number, just to sort of give your mind a way to sort of grasp what this number represents. It basically gives you an idea of the distribution of homes, of the homes that are selling and the price levels. Now, the average home price in February was $1,542,968. The median was $1,569,000. These are good numbers for Los Gatos. These are actually, most communities would envy these sorts of numbers, and I think it just reflects the desirability of Los Gatos. There are other communities where we have seen double-digit decreases in the average sales price of homes. We're not seeing that here. Now, what's really interesting is that there's some things have happened that sort of skewed these numbers for us. So even though we have still seen a 3.2% increase in the average sales price of a home, we had one statistically significantly low home sale in Los Gatos. Now, the highest priced single-family residential home was at 16130 Wood Acres Road in Los Gatos, and that sold for $2.95 million. The lowest price home, which I like to call an anchor, because this is a very unusual home. This is a one-bedroom, one-bath home. It's basically a shack up above Lexington Reservoir, and that was at Laurel Drive in Los Gatos, and that sold for $126,000. Statistically, a significantly low amount. There are no other homes anywhere near it. The next closest lowest amount was $855,000, and that was on El Gato Lane in Los Gatos. So even though this number shows a much smaller increase because of the low number of homes that sold, we only had 16 homes that sold in February. Something like this, with such a low sales price, can really drag down the amount that we calculate for the percentage increase in average price. So we would actually expect that 3.2, if we were to eliminate that very low amount, we'd actually get a higher average sales price. So Los Gatos is doing great on price as far as homes that are getting sold. Now, one thing that we want to look at here also is the home price changes just over past months. So we're going back to January of 2007. We can see there's some pretty good fluctuation here, particularly in the winter months. We got an unusual bump in October on average price, but notice the months from May to September. Now, we saw a pretty steady September. We saw a drop, which is normal for the end of summer, but we actually got in Los Gatos a summer season. A lot of other places in Santa Clara County did not. They actually saw decreases as far as sales, and they saw mild increases in home prices, but not like what we've seen here in Los Gatos. Now, the percentage price change from January to February was down 6.7%. The median price was down 8.4%. And remember, that's based on 16 homes selling in the month of February. Now, the next thing we want to look at is how long it takes to get a home sold. And this is an interesting one to look at this month because it's an artificially high number. And we'll get into why it's an artificially high number in a second. The days it took to get a home sold was 129. That's a 158% increase. Now, whenever I see an increase like that, I have to poke around and figure out why. Now, in some areas, I would expect this sort of a jump. We've seen areas where the days to sell has jumped up dramatically. So it's not entirely unusual, but it is for a community like Los Gatos. And as you can see, we're not even at our worst case scenario of where we were at 2003, where it was taking 158 days in the month of January to get the home sold. But now let's move on to just the short-term view here. So this is going back previous months, and you can see just how outrageously high that 129 number is. And some folks might panic looking at that and thinking, wow, we've really gotten hit by the market conditions. Suddenly it's taking very long to get a home sold. The reality is a little bit different. Now, the days to sell increase between January and February is 79.2%. What I'd like you to do is ignore that number. I don't think that it's an accurate number given what information really lies under it. Now, 6 of the 16 homes that sold had unusually high days on market numbers. One of them had an amazingly high number of days of 820. So for the reasons of statistical analysis, anything that crazy, anything that out there, I don't think reflects what folks should be expecting from the market. In other words, if you're using this data to figure out, should I be, as a buyer, what should I be doing? As a seller, what are my expectations for how long it's going to take to sell my home? This does not represent the average, since this is just so completely out of the norm. Now, if we removed that entirely, if we kicked out this exceptionally high number, we would get an average days on the market of 83 days, which is far more normal, far more statistically expected, which is only a 15.3% increase from January and is actually lower than what we saw in December. It's also lower than what we saw in May and lower than what we saw in January of last year. So I think you should take it on that basis. I don't think you should take this 129 days as gospel. I think if we use a little bit of common sense in analyzing these numbers, we can see that the reality is that it was really more like 83 days, which is very acceptable. And actually good news, because it's a drop from the previous year. Now, that's really it. I appreciate you taking the time to review these numbers for Los Gatos in February of 2008 with me. If you'd like to get any more information about various markets, listings in your area, please feel free to visit my website at www.soldbyrobert.com. If you'd like to email me with any questions, ideas, or suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Please feel free to contact me at robert@soldbyrobert.com. Or if you'd like to give me a phone call, talk about real estate, maybe refer a friend or anyone else who needs help with real estate in your area, please feel free to dial me up at 408-852-0525. Thank you very much. I look forward to talking to you next time.